Hi, this is Simon Upstill and welcome to another tutorial for Apple Motion, and today we're going to be building our very own green screen keyer using just the built-in Motion toolset. It's really going to be a fascinating tour through the theory of keying. And because there are so many interesting aspects to this subject, this will be a tutorial in more than one part. So let's get going. Okay, so for this project, I want to go with 1920-1080, a duration of 5 seconds and a frame rate of 24 seconds. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come over to my assets folder and bring in my futuristic city image like so. So let's just relabel this group as BG for background, and let's make a new group above it, object new group. And into this new group, let's import our green screen media. So this is a clip from Hollywood Camera Work. I'll give you a link in the description. It comes in as a series of PNG files, image sequence in other words. So select any one of those, click on image sequence here, and then import, and you'll see it comes in as a piece of video like that. Now we need to do a couple of things. Let's come over to the media tab. Let's select that clip and let us set its pixel aspect ratio to PAL D1 DV anamorphic, like so, and that'll just stretch it out like that. It doesn't quite reach the edges of the frame, but that doesn't actually matter because we are keying this out anyway. So let's come back over to our layers. So let's call this group FG for foreground. So the next thing I want to do is I want to clone this foreground. So right click, make clone layer, and I'm going to drag it out into a new group. And I'm going to come to Filters and Color and Channel Mixer. So what we're going to do is come down here and click on the monochrome switch, and we're happy with what we've got here. So that's the red channel. So let's rename this clone layer as red, and then let's right click and duplicate it, and let's call it green. And come over to the Channel Mixer, and instead of red, let's have red green. So now that's the green channel, and then let's duplicate it one more time. Let's call it blue, come back to the channel mixer, turn off the red green and turn on the red blue. So that is the blue channel. So now we're good to go, except I just want to move the red above the green. So the green is on the bottom. That's really important. Okay, so then I'm actually going to make a new group just above the blue there. Object new group, and I'm going to put the red and the blue into it. And let's just call this red blue. So I might also actually just drop the green into a group of its own. So right click, group the green, and let's call it green. So after having done all this setup, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to turn off the blue because we don't actually need that at this point, but we will come back and consider it. So in order to create our matte that is going to be the basis of our keyer, we're going to set this group that we've made called red blue to blend mode subtract. And now you can see that we've got the beginnings of a matte for our foreground, but it's the wrong way around. Before we fix that, we want to select this group and call this matte. And we need to solidify our matte because as you can see, the green areas are not fully white and the foreground is not fully black. We're going to invert that at the end of the day, but just for now, we want to add a color and levels, and we want to sort that out. Now you can probably see from here exactly where we want to put our white point. So we can actually just drag that down to around here. And you can see our white going solid like that. So we've just got all white where the green was, and that's good. So then we can take our black and just advance it just enough to fill in the foreground like that. Now the trick with this is just only go as far as you need to make them both black and white. Don't overdo it because then you'll lose the soft detail of the edges, especially in this instance the hair. So that's good. Now we've got our matte and we need to invert it. So let's come to Filters, Color and Negative. And you'll see that we probably didn't go quite as far as we needed to with our white cut levels. So let's just adjust that a little bit more. Again, just fraction of an amount. You can see how that's just taking care of that speckling. So obviously we've got all these tracking marks and all this garbage. We won't just worry about that for now because we really just want to concentrate on getting the main result. So I'm actually going to clone this mat because it's going to make life easier. So right click, make clone layer, and I'm just going to drag that into the foreground group, and I'm going to duplicate it, right click duplicate, and drag that into the background group. And let's turn off the main mat group there and delete that group. I don't know where that came from. Okay, so now we've got a group called foreground, which has got our original image at the back there. It's got this clone of the mat. We've got our background with our city at the back, and then a copy of the mat above it. So let's just first of all work on the foreground. So all we need to do is take the clone and come to blend mode, multiply. And you can see that now everything that is green is now black. So that's actually a good start. And I'm just going to skip forward to the next step before I sort out the background. So we want to set the blend mode of this foreground group to add, and that's not looking very good. If I turn off the background matte, you can see what we've got. So we've got her sort of transparent over the top of the background. So how are we going to make this composite actually work? Well, we're going to take this clone that's in the background, and we're going to come to filters and color and negative. And then what we want to do is set the blend mode of this to multiply as well. And now we do actually have a composite. So what have we done there? Let's just turn off that foreground group. With this copy of the mat, the negative one, we've cut a hole in the background, as you can see. Conversely, if I turn off the background and turn on the foreground, what we did with the uninverted mat here was that we suppressed everything in the foreground that was green to black. And so then when we add those two together, because we've got black behind her, she is not see-through. So I turn off the mat, we remind ourselves what we had. We had this sort of see-through look to her. But because we're suppressing that area of the background to black, when we create our composite operation, she is properly over the top of the background. And of course, because we've suppressed all the foreground green to black, when we add that over our background, that is transparent. And I've explained this process in a little bit more detail in my normal blend mode tutorial, which I'll link to in the description. But for now, we have actually created the Kia, and there's way more that we need to do, and the obvious thing is that we need to do some spill suppression because all of the edges are bright green, but that is what we're going to look at in part 2. So I hope this has been useful. I'll see you again later.